contains discussion of emotional and psychological abuse as well as reference to sexual acts which may be triggering or difficult for listeners. The content shared reflects the lived experiences of our guests and is intended for educational and awareness purposes only. Listener discretion is advised. If you are currently experiencing abuse or need support, please reach out to a trusted professional, therapist, counselor, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for confidential assistance.
Okay, so the path towards true healing, yes, it started from making the decision to say, this is not what I want anymore. And it got to the place for me where for some people, it would have been years ago where it would have been like, this is enough. But when it hit the whole BDSM and all that kind of stuff, I knew this is going to go way further and this is going to take you so far from your purpose and from the direction you're to go in life that it really, like I said, it seemed like a divine intervention.
Had to be, because Sharon, think about what that man said to you. Because let's be clear, this thing of life is spiritual warfare.
Oh my
He
goodness,
said,
yes.
this is how I'm being led spiritually. Spiritually don't always mean godly. And I'm saying that because what he's saying does not align with God. It does not align with covenant. It does not align with God saying that our bodies are temples, and then him just invading these women's temples, talking about his healer.
And it being in a form of pain.
Exactly.
That giving this pain and them being tied up and dominated, it creates this space of this release that's needed. And so I knew it's already gone left, but this about to go further than I might not make it back.
Yep. And God said it's enough.
Enough's enough.
Enough's
But
enough.
this is the thing that I did not know, that I just hit the real word. I didn't know the war that was going to happen. Anything can look a certain way on the outside. If you would have looked at me on the outside, you like, girl, you got such a nice place. Oh, you single, you free.
The facade.
Oh, I like your car.
The
oh, girl,
aesthetics.
you such a good mom. You doing so good. Because all of that was true. But see, they didn't know the symptoms of PTSD I was struggling with. They didn't know I couldn't sleep at night. That insomnia was kicking my butt. That depression, I didn't really have an appetite. That there were days I could literally barely take a shower. Everything, I got my undergrad in psychology, and my master's was, even though it was education, the classes was majority psychology and counseling. I was working in behavioral health.
Yeah.
I was now reading myself.
Yep.
I could go back to textbooks and be like, oh my God,
That's me.
how did I become the provider and the patient?
Because nobody's exempt. This lived experience.
How did this happen? And then everything seems so together. Why am I not just automatically like, oh, this new life? Now it gets there, but it was a dark road.
And Sharon, before you start heading down the road, I want to validate you too, because what I'm hearing is that, or maybe y'all figured this out in therapy, but this was the first time, Sharon, that you could actually feel, because every day you were in that marriage, in that relationship, it was just more and more and more. So when was the time to process? It wasn't there. So then, now that you have relief, we think this is the bottom falling out, when really it's the bedrock. It's you having a solid foundation to really now start to unpack the stuff, even though it feels like you're in a sunken place. That was
Yes.
how do I want to say it? It was a sacred place to be in, even though it doesn't feel good.
One of the most sacred places to be in is during your dark night of the soul, which is a season of spiritual transformation. I was going through a transformation within my soul. It had nothing to do with the things on the outside. There were parts of me that had to die.
Yes, ma'am.
And parts of me that had to be birthed. So it felt like, yes, it felt like chaos.
That's the one thing. These types of situations will birth what's been in you this whole time.
Yes. And it is a process. It's not overnight.
Mhm.
It is a process, and it has to be done intentionally and on purpose, and no one is going to save you. No one could save me. I had to make a choice.
Mhm.
Even though you can pray or you can do all this, like, it is a work that has to be done.
Faith and works.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so you brought up a really good point, because what I was living in was disassociation.
Uh-huh. That outer body you were talking about, disconnect when you said you were like washing yourself. Yep.
Yeah, complete disconnect. And so then when you're ready to go down this path of healing, you have to wake up. And everything that you try to get yourself not to feel,
It
you
has to
have to
come up.
feel.
It
But
rise.
then also, disassociation and trauma changes the brain. And so you can also experience a lot of forgetfulness, loss of memory.
Mhm.
Somebody with CPTSD brain can look the same as somebody that went through combat
Yeah.
war.
And it's your brain attempting to protect you from such harmful things.
Yes. And so those were some of the things, like, especially memory. That
Mhm.
was one of the things that I talked to my doctor about. I'm like, something is wrong. Like, I feel like most of my life is this blur. And I can't even really remember a lot of good. I could just remember the really bad stuff. But the rest of it was just survival. And
Mhm.
not wanting to face the truth, choosing, that's that self betrayal, not wanting to face it. So you put yourself in a space of disassociation, not knowing that this is going to come with a cost.
Yeah.
And so when a lot of people wake up from it and they do the work, one of the things to look out for and that can happen is different coping mechanisms, because you're so used to dissociation, you're so used to that. So a
Mhm.
lot of people that begin this journey may find themselves struggling with addiction.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was one of the things that I talked to my doctor about was, I mean, I've always been one that I like wine.
Mhm.
I love me. I love to cook. That is one of my forms of therapy. It is
Mhm.
a love of mine. I enjoy it. And I love to cook and listen to like some 90s music or something like
Yes,
that and a
girl.
glass of
That 90s
wine.
R&B be doing it.
I'm in my zone. I'm in my zone. I started noticing that I was drinking wine more of coping.
Ah.
And it didn't come in a form of coping. It came in a way, and it was coping, but
It snuck up on you probably.
it snuck up on me slowly in that. And I began to see that just the sipping. Sometimes it kept my mind. This slow just sipping. And before you know it, it's slow sipping. You want it more, or during the day or whatever the case may be. And it came to me. And it's never been an issue where there's ever been like any type of issue where I'm, drunk or ever had a DUI or anything like that. You have to be able to know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I heard in my spirit was, this will take you away from your purpose.
Ooh.
Don't let it be a secret.
Yeah.
Because if it's a secret, it will grow.
Yes, it will. What's in the dark grows just like a seed underground. Yes,
If
ma'am.
it's a secret, it will grow. So I shared it with my sisters, with my best friend. I went to the doctor. I was like, that's
Accountability.
why I was like, I want to get, my blood checked. I scheduled for a therapist. I let the doctor know, like, I've been drinking more than I used to. I know it's a cope. I'm going through therapy. So, I've been trying to cope with this PTSD. I let him know. I was like, you are not taking me down. I'm telling.
Mm.
Like, that's how I felt when I heard that voice within me say, don't let this be a secret.
Mm.
Because if it's a secret, it's going to overtake you.
Yeah. And it can't
So
and as they say, that quote is like a person is only as sick as their secret. And if
that's
that thing
real.
is growing, it's
That's real.
growing. Mhm. Mhm.
So that was a big part in being honest and saying, I have to get these things together.
Yeah.
And for those that may be going through it, it's different paths.
Mhm.
For some people, for depression, you have these different imbalances. If your body has been letting off all these negative chemicals for all this time, you're not supposed to be crying all the time. Sad. My whole 20s and 30s was mostly crying. That is so unhealthy on the body to be feeling sad way more. Yes, we have sad times, but majority, the body is keeping the score. Trust me. And so I'm thinking, I'm pushing past all this stuff. It was right there waiting on me.
You
And
didn't push
even though
past, you
things
just
looked
stuffed it
free,
down.
yeah. But one of the things that I had to do, because I spent so much time being embarrassed
Yeah.
about embarrassment had its hand on me. I was so embarrassed about my story. Then I had to realize I made choices based on my level of consciousness in each moment.
The best you could in that moment.
And I choose to be compassionate with myself. That those were the choices that I made in those moments, and that there were lessons in that that were necessary for my soul.
Yes, nothing is unused with God.
It is all being used, and it had to be in right timing. And I realized that, as you can see, and I really hope this helps someone, is that in dealing with trauma, I had to look at the whole thing, and it takes more than just one way.
Yeah.
I went to my doctor. I needed to make sure and see how I was physically well and what needed to change. I took care of the mental health aspect of it. Then you have to take care of your body, because your body has gone under combat. And especially if it's been self-betrayal. Self-betrayal really, it affects your cells. So then you want to do healing in those areas. You want to make sure you're getting out in nature. You want to make sure you're taking the right supplements. You want to make sure that you may be doing some somatic yoga or something that's going to help heal the cells of the body, to restructure the cells. So trauma healing is not just, okay, well, I'm just going to do this or I'm just going to do that. You want to get to the place where you can be sleeping at night, because you need that sleep. Your body needs to
recover.
regenerate. There are things that need to be happening. So it took a lot of work, and solitude was important. A season of solitude was so important. But one thing that can sneak up on you when you get that solitude after going through trauma, being alone starts to feel so safe that it can become
Isolation.
isolation.
Yeah.
And I went through that, and I did not want to come out, baby. I remember
You're
my
not
sister.
designed for it, but yep. You said this is the safest I've been. I ain't giving this up.
I ain't giving this up for nobody. And but it can become imbalanced. Then you find yourself in the other space. But it is such a delicate dance in coming out of it. One of the hardest season for me in the journey of coming out was anger. Because what you're doing is you're going through a grief process.
Yes.
So there's moments of grief, there's moments of regret, there's moments of sadness, even though I never, ever experienced sadness of my relationship ending.
Well, you have been doing it all throughout. Let's be honest. You were
Yeah, I
grieving
guess.
when you were already in it. From the first moment of like that major betrayal, every bit was this slow disconnect. That's why when you left, you left. You had
Yeah,
to detach while still being present with a little bit of hope.
yeah, yep. And so I didn't experience, but it was different. I'm gonna say this. I didn't experience sadness of the relationship ending, but the depression. I got to take it a little deeper and call it depression.
Ooh, Sharon.
What?
The relationship you were really and truly grieving was the relationship with self. It wasn't even about the marriage at that point. It was self.
It was all about me.
Yeah.
And this is what is the most important part of this interview. And what I want to tell you is really dear to my heart. I shared all of these things that happened, right? And so many people can get into the details and be like, "Oh, that's crazy. He did that. She did that. That happened." This is the most important. The healing with the self.
Yeah.
This isn't about him hurting me. This is about me hurting me.
Why I stayed, why I went along with it, why, and not in a judgmental way, right? And I imagine judgment like came up, but like to really and truly soul search and ask the questions, what is in me that knew what this was? He said it straight to my face, and still I stayed. Yes, Sharon, I went through my own version of this too, right? Like where I literally asked God, God, how did I get here? How did I get here? And I started having to
Mhm.
realize there are anyone that we're with in relationship, they're a mirror in some sort of way. They're mirroring something back to us. We see
Oh, yeah.
ourselves in them. And so as I was reflecting on the relationship, the marriage that I had and the person that I was in that with, there were certain things that came up about him. And I was like, slow down on your judgment, shorty. You got your own version of that. And I had to see myself. So seeing initially being critical of him helped me to see me and where my gaps, where my deficits were, and to fill
Yes.
that in and do my work, whether that meant physically, spiritually, emotionally, like, and then to do my work. Because a lot of people don't want to do that part. You want them to be the villain when
Yes.
really just serve the whatever the thing was up to them.
Yes. And I released that, even in sharing it, the story, I'm really not sharing it from a space of him being a villain.
Mm-hmm.
It is sharing he showed up to be exactly
Authentic.
authentic in who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it created the lessons and the opportunity for my becoming.
Yes, ma'am.
And this could have been after 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
after 6, after 7, but it is by choice. I made a choice. It is the power of choice. The lessons in this becoming of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
it is still coming to pass. But it was up to me how long I had to suffer.
Yeah. And that's the
Sometimes that
whole thing.
suffering is a choice.
Oh, it is because
Yeah.
suffering, the difference between pain and suffering is that, like, pain, we're all going to have it and it's temporary. Suffering is when there is resistance, when there's a lack of acceptance. And
Mhm.
like you said, he showed himself to be as he is, as was my situation too, right? He showed himself. There were certain things I did not want to see. I assigned yellow flags to red flags, right?
Mhm.
Green flags to yellow flags.
Mhm.
And that was my choosing, right? So I hear you taking a radical, accountability here, but not blaming yourself. But what
Right.
people show us, and then with the whole romanticizing that happens in society about what it should look like and what it should be, we will say, well, then this is enough. Like, where we settle and we don't even know we're settling, and that there's a lack mindset that's informing this whole program. The whole program is on lack. Let's be clear. There's a programming of lack that's touching every single area. So there is a program of lack in every single area that's informing all of this. It's so insidious. It's like woven into the fabric that you're not aware of it. Because that
Yes.
lack would be, oh, you gonna let him go? That lack's gonna be, but you're married. That lack's gonna be, you gonna give up that key household income, 2 income household. That lack is gonna be, well, ain't nothing out there. At least you know what you want. It's lack
It's lack.
all around.
It is.
It allows us to settle, and then we don't get to one really and truly live and operate in our purpose because we've settled. We've decided that good enough, or we the best is gonna get,
Mhm.
or we ain't getting no younger. We might as well. Those types of things. That is all, and it's so pervasive, and it's one of the most subtle and dangerous things that stop people and keep us out of purpose.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of times because there is lack, since we're not focused on purpose. And some people don't even get to that space of the joy and the power of
Yes.
singleness
Mm-hmm.
because you're experiencing that lack. And so there's so much neurological healing that's done during that time. It depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at it from lack, oh, I'm single, or oh, I'm not going to have anybody, or oh, for me, I didn't really know what it was, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that it wasn't financial. Like, I can move on just fine financially. I knew that it wasn't something physical that I was holding on to. So I'm like, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
It was just the sheer fear of who am I by myself?
Ooh, come on. That's that codependence.
Yes, my identity was, and this is the thing, starting off so young, I had
Yes.
not built that up as an adult
Yes.
woman. So it's
Yes.
like, well, without this, who am I? That was a very fearful, I'm talking terror. I
Mm-hmm.
was terrified of that because I didn't even know. And it's like you just couldn't quite put your finger on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so much healing that had to be done. And so now, and going through a lot of work of and understanding the truth of
Mm-hmm.
programming, I have a completely different outlook.
Yes.
I remember writing out a list of if I do get remarried or whatever one day, or just in a partner, the things that I would like and what I would like to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to become all of those things.
Yes, ma'am. Give it to yourself first.
That was the thing. I wrote that list out and said, even if I do grow to this, which is it's not a priority. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's great to,
You need to be your priority after basically giving your life to everyone and everything else.
yes, my 20s and my 30s. So baby, I'm 41 now. When
Mm.
I tell you the joy that I have building healthy connections,
Mhm.
good connections. I even have like, I didn't really have a lot of masculine or like male friends and stuff because I spent 20s and 30s. It's been something actually meeting healthy
Safe,
men and then not
masculine
even having to be
energy.
in a romantic way.
Ma'am.
And it's like, I didn't realize that I needed this because one of the things I was always told in my marriage, my ex would say, when I was getting ready to leave, he said, "You're gonna get out here and realize that all men cheat and they're all like me." That was one of the things that he
And
said.
trying to, man, the fear mongering was so real.
Oh, it was so bad. When I tell you, as a single woman, I've met men that have been abstinent, for a year, 2 years. They in the gym, they working on themselves, they're building their businesses. I had to see, and then also in solitude and getting off of social media,
Mm-hmm.
which portrays this gender war and men ain't this and women ain't that. When I got into the real world and wasn't consumed with social media and met people, there are phenomenal women out there. There are amazing men out there. There are people living in discipline, working and focused on their spiritual life, focused on their mental health, their physical health.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of men where sex is not
The
everything, and
focus.
even in some,
Mm-hmm.
not even important if it's a certain season that they're in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to make good connections,
Mm-hmm.
working on my purpose, writing again, spending time with my children, um being focused on health and becoming all those things, I'm saying, hey, whenever the door opens for me to really want to be in a relationship, I am whole. I'm not making any decisions off of, well, I need this, I need that. I don't want to be a parasite and I don't want anybody else to be a
Ooh,
parasite. I want to be whole and to connect with somebody that's whole, and then we can enjoy that completeness
that's it.
together.
So then
And
y'all
so,
multiply one another.
yes, and until then, it is enjoyable. I'm gonna be honest. I get in my king size bed at night, pull them covers over.
Mm-hmm.
I sleep good. I spread. And the thing is, having a relationship is wonderful. But I have to be honest, for me right now, it's like this month, I'm gonna say it hits 2.5 years
Mm-hmm.
of being of my divorce ending. And I know like I would say within the last couple of weeks, got remarried.
Oh, this is a fresh marriage.
Yeah, they just recently got married.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Am not judging it, and I think wonderful, and it works really good for me for the schedule
Mm-hmm.
that I need. Just to be honest, I've learned that there's some things you got to be able to look at what it is that you need, and
That's the
so
business.
it works out for what I need. So, but for me, 2.5 years after
Mm-hmm.
all that. I want to enjoy the healed version of myself.
Absolutely, and you
It
should.
takes time to heal after a divorce. And then this is what so many people do. They experience healing. And then because of that program, they automatically think,
They gotta
oh,
go
I'm
get
healed.
somebody.
Now I can be in a relationship. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just now really meeting you.
Hello, Sharon. Nice to meet you.
Kind of like you, girl. You fun.
Yes, get into this relationship with self.
Kind of like you. And so I'm just enjoying me. I mean, genuinely,
This this
genuinely.
is every season has its purpose. You, what I'm hearing is that you are in bloom, right? Like every flower
Yes.
season, every plant has its season. But I'm going to take us back just a little bit. Something that I heard you say, or my interpretation is that all of this that you experienced, that how did I get here? It was an identity crisis.
100%.
And I know I expressed some of this in on some other content that I put out on YouTube, but identity crisis about like this who you are as a daughter of God, the most high God. You know what I mean? And allowing that to lead because the thing I think with Satan, he can distract us with all that lack and we forget who we are and who we are, and then we start operating in the material and not the spiritual, and that's where the lack gets
Hmm.
to make its way everywhere. And so, what I'm hearing you say in this season of singleness is really, like I said earlier, this is about reclamation of self, but God also reclaiming you and bringing you home, just like a parent will do. Enough is enough, daughter. I'm going to get you up out of here. Come on over,
Enough's enough.
and that's
Hmm.
enough. And those wonderful children that you had, keep praying over them because they also have their place, right? Like, so we are not just like random accidents, right? Like, God had intention for every single one of us, even though these things happened, your children were there, right? Like, who I don't know what they may have taken in, right? But children are always impacted, just like you
Oh, yeah.
that moment when you left, right? But keep praying over them. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that and how this season of solitude and reclaiming of identity has shown up in your parenting.
My goodness. Children are greatly affected. And I want to say the one that it affected the most was my oldest, who now he will be 18
Girl, what?
next week. I know it's crazy. I'm going to have an 18-year-old.
Girl, so he really understands some of the stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, he was 15 when things started, but one of the things that he said was he was like, it's like he just woke up one day and his whole life changed.
Yeah,
So I watched him go through depression and go through
that's
all that,
true.
but this is
That happened to you too. You woke up one day, your whole life changed.
my whole life changed. And so this is one of the things is in the beginning, parenting, still being there, still got to get up in the morning, get him ready for school, pick him up, cook. You're doing all this and going through depression and insomnia
That's
and
a
still having to be mommy.
That's a whole other level because there are people who are mommy and they cannot get out of bed. And they start teaching their kids to do it, or their kids figure it out and they start compensating.
Yes.
But
Yes. And
I'm thankful for your children that you were able to compensate and keep that consistency for them.
yes. Well, in the beginning, it was very hard because I was still going through I was going through in the beginning of the depression, and this was maybe right before I was educated or got diagnosed with CPTSD. Is my kids noticed, and I did too.
Mhm.
Um, I would do everything that I had to do, and then I would sit in my room and be
Because
quiet.
you all the energy you had was done, depleted. Yep.
I didn't watch TV. I didn't
Mhm.
watch TV. I didn't watch any kind of show for well over a year.
And that's
Um,
another level, right? Because sometimes people use that as a form of escape. And you were like, no, I need silence.
oh, I needed, and that was another side of CPTSD. Like, I don't like a lot of loud noise. I like silence is important. I can't sleep with the TV on. I can only listen to tones. I need it to
Mm.
be dark. I need all the doors closed. I don't like open doors. I like it's a closed in dark feeling. Like I need
Mhm.
the lights off
It sounds
so
like
I
you
can go to
create your
sleep.
own closet. This is a way to it's a way to create safety. It's a
Yes.
controlled environment. You know what's in it. You know what's not. This is what I can expect. It's a form
Yes.
of safety.
That's exactly what it is. And so But I noticed my son was going through the same thing. He started
Mm,
showing signs of isolation, signs of, I mean, everything that I was experiencing, I started to see it in him.
mm,
And it was a very hard season. And he's finally doing well, coming around more. He lives with his dad, so he's at that stage though.
mhm.
I knew that at 16. When he started really going through it, it's like you need to be with your dad.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but he was just here the other day. I still see him quite a bit. We go to the movie. That's our thing, is the movies. We go to the movies and hang out and things of that nature. But in my parenting, I mean, I had to push because, and I'm talking about on the inside
Mhm,
where they couldn't see it.
mm,
All they could see is that mommy's quiet.
mhm.
But you better believe they had a big meal every day. They got up and was taken to school on time. They had what they need. They got some hugs and some kisses. But I wasn't the same. And they picked up on it. She's not getting out. We not going, walking around, outside, going to feed the ducks or going to exercise or going to do fun things. It's just like I did what
Lasagna.
I had to do. And then I wanted to sit in my silent circle. I wanted to sit in my little cocoon. And that began to, as I begin to really go through the healing, that got better and better and better. But you better believe it was a heavy season to hold it all together for children and try not to let them see it.
Mhm.
To find, especially in the beginning, to have to find somewhere to live, to pay for all the moving, to move on your own, to keep everything together, go to work, pay all the bills,
Mm.
smile, go to the after school program,
You
every
are
single
exhausted.
thing. And try not to act depressed. Try
So,
to act like you slept last night.
girl, the level of the number of masks you had, and what you're getting at is a burden that one, I think a lot of women carry. Women that are like professional working mothers carry, but then being a woman, professional working, and woman, and then a black one.
Mhm.
It's on a whole other level because, again, I get it. I think I get it because my family's also from Mississippi. I come from a long line of strong women, and my family is majority,
Mhm.
where it don't matter what's going on. We still have to show up. We still have to perform. We still have to produce. And yes, I'm a link it to slavery. I don't know if your people were, if your ancestors were enslaved. Mine were, right?
Mhm.
That's one of those things that we did to not give up, is to keep going.
Keep
But
going.
we are not living in those same spaces of trauma, but we've not come out of those survival habits, that Black
Mhm.
superwoman schema. I gotta do everything. I'm a strong indie Black woman. Karen, you really and truly probably needed a month or two away.
Oh, yes.
But the way things are set up, well, what was going to happen? It wasn't possible. So you did the best that you could, and you put together your own treatment team. I love how you clinically like worked your stuff out, right? Like you went to your doctors, you went to the therapist, you were doing your spiritual work, you're doing your emotional work, all those things, the physical, and I would imagine your diet probably even changed during this time too.
It has to. That's a very important part of trauma healing work, is as you are releasing things from your cells, you're releasing that stuff, that you have to be able to detox. You
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
be able to have somewhere for that to go. So exercise, which took me forever to get myself together with it, I ain't gonna lie. It took a while.
Girl, I walk.
Exercise is so important.
Hmm.
Sweating, releasing,
Hmm.
detoxing, putting fruits in your body, colorful foods,
Eat your
peppers,
rainbow.
onions, like color is very important. And getting outside, getting in nature, the sun is
Mhm.
extremely important in combating some of those symptoms of depression.
Absolutely.
And so this can seem super, super, super hard, if not impossible, when it comes to the beginning stages.
Mhm.
If you are struggling with depression and anxiety and things of that nature, because the dopamine and those things, you're imbalanced.
Mhm.
So some people around you can be like, man, why won't you just get up and do it? But
If
deep
I
down,
could, you don't think I would?
yes. And so, yes, definitely all of these things can be done naturally.
Mhm.
But one thing I always like to say, because it is the truth, for some, if it is just so far off and you're
Yeah.
not in that place to have the strength to even get up and brush your teeth, you may need a moment, and it's okay to need certain medications to
Yeah.
bring that balance. It may be something you may need to be on for 3 months to 6 months. Then all of a sudden, you just like, oh, I can get up and go for a walk today. I can, and then before you know it, you've gotten the push, and now you can just get it. You can get off of that because you've
Yeah.
gotten the push to get there.
And Sharon, you
It
bring up
don't
such a good
judge if
point.
that's necessary.
Yeah, you bring up such a good point about medication management because, first of all, mental health in a lot of communities is taboo. And then, two, if you're on medication, now you crazy. Again, that's ignorance. That's a lack of understanding and knowledge because the same way you take medicine for diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol,
Yeah.
mental health is medical, is what people need to also recognize. But then also, too, you're talking about an imbalance. You're talking about bringing it into balance. And that is what can give you that break. And then people automatically assume, well, I don't want to be dependent on nothing my whole life. Who said you even needed that? You're not even talking to the person. And just because you go do an evaluation with the psychiatrist, you can talk to the psychiatrist about what your concerns are, what your reservations. I don't want to be on something the rest of my life, but also it doesn't change the fact that your symptoms are your symptoms. And then people are having a maladaptive cope with drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling. You will wreck your life before you go to a doctor, a psychiatrist, a doctor
Yeah, absolutely. And it happens all the time.
all the time.
And I'm telling you, it is such a thing. That's why I talk so much about mental health. That's why, on
Mhm.
my Facebook page, I'm always posting and reminding people this is Mental Health Awareness Month. I
Yes,
wore
it
my
is.
mental health awareness t-shirt
Yes, I
today.
almost put on my green
Um,
ribbon today. It wasn't that cute with my outfit though.
but I know this for myself.
Hmm.
It is vitally important, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Now, for those that feel like I just don't want to go the
Mm-hmm.
medical route and things of that nature, I mentioned some of the other things that I did,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be changed. The neurological healing can happen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you are willing and able to make some of those changes. But just know, to be able to do that is thinking differently.
Man, and
It
people need help with
is
that mindset shift.
It is. And a lot of times those symptoms make you feel lazy.
Hmm.
And if you're really gonna fight it, it is
You got to start by fighting your language and your thoughts.
that self-talk, I'm telling you.
And also, if we're talking about like emotional psychological abuse, language is a big part of that. I know when I like was going through my divorce, when some negative things came up one day, I was like, girl, that ain't even you. You don't even think that way. And that's when I said, God, please purge this man, remove him from every fiber of my being.
Mm,
Because I didn't want any of it.
mhm.
But that's what happens when you're in community with unhealthy thoughts, toxicity, whatever you want to call it. That can seep in. That's also the programming. So language is
Yes,
part of the programming, and what we hear, what we think, what we believe, it all manifests in our actions. And so we
absolutely.
have to be aware of that and also do a purging of the verbal stuff, which is mental, which is becomes behavioral, which becomes habits. Like, and but you have to start somewhere. I think we're all able to start somewhere if we don't minimize what we're doing, right? So maybe you're having such a hard time you can't get out the house, you have a patio, or even then, so you can't. Or just open your window, let the fresh air in. You have a
Mhm.
patio, go sit out on your patio, get some of that sun, and just keep building up until you can get out of the house. And then
That
just
right there.
walk until you don't feel tired because then people are like, well, I gotta go 3 times a week. It gotta be an hour. You create these crazy pressure, and it's like it's
Mhm.
a habit. Like so, for me, my healing, health, like all of that. So, like I walked off. I was like 14, about to knock on the 16. Walked down to a 6 and sometimes 8, depending on it. And
Mm.
God also changed my diet during that time. He sat me down in solitude. I was going to church regularly. I got in my community. I said prayers for safe to be around safe men and women because toxicity showed up in some of my friendships as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that time in nature, the sun, like it just does it. We are solar power beings, literally.
Yes.
Bodies take sun, and especially us melanated folks, our bodies take the sun and convert it into energy,
And we need it.
and we need it. And so there's so much that can happen, but start somewhere. Like journaling was another big part of it for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Me too.
do that. Like I never journaled with such commitment the way that I do now. Like my day is not complete if I can't write, or if something has to happen, or if I'm so tired, I'm gonna pull up my phone and write a note at least. But I'm gonna write. I'm gonna talk to God because when I journal, I talk to God, and building that intimate relationship is a huge part of it. Because like you, I have been through survival mode, trying to do it all on my own, or you know what? It's too little for me to bring to God. Hyper independence. Again, reinforced by those the strong women who did what they had to do to make it. But we are far enough removed from that struggle that we don't need those same coping mechanisms, and it's doing us a disservice. And then
Yes.
end up in relationships, friendships, workplaces where we are overextending because no one
Mm-hmm.
has stopped and challenged these survival behaviors. And then we're exhausted, and there's no one to rescue us because we've been programmed that nobody's coming. Guess what? God has been waiting. He has been waiting because God is a gentleman. And when you cry out, when you make that declaration, or you just, I don't know, you surrender, that He's like, that's all I've been waiting for. And He's still saying,
Surrender is surrender is key on many different levels.
yes, ma'am.
On many different levels. And you will find yourself doing it quite a few times.
Mhm. Oh,
Because
every
it's levels to this.
mm,
There's layers. And healing is like an onion. It's
yeah.
like a spiral. Okay. And some things you're gonna meet again in a different way, in a different light. And
Mhm.
the more you go through it, you're not all falling all out like before. You're just more like,
You
okay,
already
I
know what it
see.
is, and you know
I
what
see
to
that.
do.
Yep. Okay, I see that. It's different. So my prayer is just, anyone that's in a situation where I'm just gonna leave it as self-betrayal.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't always have to show up in a psychologically abusive relationship or whatever.
Absolutely.
It can show up in different ways in your life, even if it comes to
Anytime you
career.
say yes when you mean no, it's a self-betrayal. And that's
Yes.
biblical. Yet let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Let
It's
your no
found
be
it in
no.
the Bible.
You like, let me make that clear. But to just know it comes with a cost. It does. It comes with the
Mm,
cost. And then it's work. And so I am grateful. But yes, I have been able to turn, what the doctors call PTSD into, post traumatic wisdom.
woo, come on,
I've been
girl.
able to get an understanding of addiction
Mm,
that I usually was just teaching or talking about, but I've experienced what that can feel like.
mm,
And it's changed me as a coach, as a counselor, as a teacher. Um I'm grateful for all of that. I've learned so much about health, but did it have to get to that place of doing that or having to go that far or, high blood pressure, things of that nature? I'm grateful for the lesson. But basically, the point of what I'm saying is listen to yourself,
yeah.
be
Mm,
radically honest with yourself.
mhm,
Identity crisis is
mm.
very difficult. And I was glad that you brought that up. It was actually something my doctor said.
Oh, really?
My
Yeah.
doctor said, I think that you're having an identity crisis.
Your doc is tuned in.
I
Like,
love
that,
my
that ain't no
doctor.
regular MD statement. Again, that's God.
It is.
Girl, God keeps
It
sending the people to
is.
talk to you.
It is. And when he was talking to me about high blood pressure, he said, your mom went through this too. But he was like, I noticed that as you went through this divorce and all that, that's when this ignited.
Mhm.
And so I think that the reason why we have these conversations is he always tells me, he's like, you are not like any of my other patients. He's like, you are so aware. Like, I can barely say anything, give you advice. You didn't already came up with it. And okay. The doctor said, you already got a treatment team plan before I can even say anything. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's just from my
Mhm.
background. Cause it's
Seriously,
like, I
I
need
feel the
help.
same thing. I had to social work myself.
Yes, I'm serious. I had to treat myself like a patient. I had to
Mhm.
have like a treat, literally, this is my treatment team. Have people that would check in on you. My sister, she always called me, girl, I'm just checking to see how we feeling today. Like, you
Mhm.
want that when you're going through those phases, but I'm telling you, no, and I don't mean this in a way because I know we say, and from your platform, a Christian platform, I don't want it to mean a way when I say nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah.
When it comes to this work, you have to get up
Yes.
and save yourself.
Yes.
It is a choice, and this is the work, but it is worth it and it is going to be okay.
Mhm.
That's what I would want to tell anybody that's going through what I've gone through, that look at my story and you don't got to be like, okay, I don't need 18 years to learn what she learned. Okay. Please don't take 18 years.
Listen, and all that though, like the lesson takes as long as the lesson takes.
Sound like my mom.
Yeah, for real, because that's what it
Sound
is.
like my mom on
Because if
that
you
one.
could have gotten it sooner, you would have gotten it sooner. Or you would have
Yeah.
left and then you would have repeated the same pattern. So that's what a lot of
Uh-huh.
people do. They go get with completely different people. So this is why I think life is like a video game. Because if you think about it, Super Mario Brothers, you're going through, but you've never seen the territory the very first time you played. You don't know where to jump fire and all of that.
Hmm.
You gotta go down in the thing, the tunnels, all that. But you get a chance, you go back and start over. Now, if you do the same thing, or if you get caught up out of the same thing, or you forget the little monster is coming to shrink you, or if you already transformed, back to the
You
beginning.
remember the sound and everything.
Goodness, girl, I loved Mario Brothers, but you recognized it. So we keep going back until we get the lesson, and the goal is to get to the end and get the princess, right? Like, so what about the person who just shuts the video game off?
Mm,
That's the person who's given up. And that's what I mean, bringing us back around to like spiritual warfare, right? Like the best thing that the enemy can do is to trick you into giving it up. He ain't even got to
yes.
do nothing. If you will give it up, if you will stop fighting,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't take that, if you don't answer the call from your higher self, that part in you that was like,
Yes.
or responded to the messages when God is like, watch out, girl. Don't you sacrifice that way. I know
Don't
this
do that.
came
Yes.
up. So there are a lot of people who may have stopped, but your soul is worth fighting for. And I get it. Healing can be tedious. And sometimes you might need to like just take a break to be, but you will never, ever, ever regret putting that time into you.
100%. And what you just said is golden. And I think it's even bigger than that when you just say, your soul is worth fighting for. What else is there?
Right, then your
I
soul.
mean, just
Yes.
think about it. We are, you're having this human experience. If it is not to be authentic, to be all that you are called to be, to
Mhm.
live in purpose from your soul, what are we doing?
A lot of people, they think it's supposed to be in a relationship to experience love, and they're right, but they're looking to the wrong source. God is love. And when you get that with Him, which goes back to the identity crisis, which is where the love deficit kicks in, right? And so I talk about this, like I said, in one of my videos. I'll link it in the description, but
Mhm.
that love deficit based on what we experience with our earthly caregivers, other relationships.
Mhm.
If we don't have that good relationship with God and allow Him to fill it in, we're looking always externally to have this thing poured into us. And we are supposed to be loved and cared for. Like you understand attachment theory, right? And all of that
Yes.
experience with the caregivers and how any disruptions they have an impact, and we adapt based on what is and what is not present. And
Correct.
you did
Mhm.
your versions of that just like your mother did, just like your father did. and back and back and back and back to the beginning of time. So this is how these things do become intergenerational strongholds if no one
Oh my
breaks
goodness.
it. And Sharon, I want to recognize you as a cycle breaker. So yes, you went through all of this
Mm-hmm.
and you did not stop. You did not give up on the fight for your soul. Like it really wasn't about the marriage. This is about your soul. And what I do know
100%.
is the enemy is not going to break into an empty house. He is not going to try, he's not going after where darkness already is. He's trying to recruit more through darkness. He's trying to snuff out your light or convince you to turn it off. And if he can do that, that's plenty. That makes his job easier.
Well, I'm making it real hard right now, honey.
Exactly. Keep shining, sis. Like, keep shining, keep fighting. And anybody that's hearing this, it doesn't matter what you've been through. Excuse me.
Yes.
It does matter what you've been through. And none of those things will disqualify you from healing, from having a deeper relationship with God, for Him pouring His love into you and to heal every broken, dark, dusty, hidden place that's on the inside of you from what you did not receive from your caregivers and those are things
Right.
that you did that left negative impressions, that left dents, that left holes. Let Him
Right.
feel those for you because He will
Mm.
do it. And when you do, that work from the inside comes out on the outside, and you
Yes.
can then freely take up the space that you were
Mm-hmm.
called, created to inhabit on this earth, which looks like,
Yes. That was good.
because girl,
You over here preaching. Do I need to send you an offering because
girl, I
you
receive
was
it
just
all. No
preaching
plan.
just now. You was just preaching, girl.
But no, for
Because
real
that's so
though,
true.
because I had to go through my stuff too. Like mine took me 7 years at least in that marriage, but really it was every year that led up to that, really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But those essentially those 6.5, almost 7 years, and that relationship brought everything to a head. And I have said before, that was one of the most important things that could have happened to me because it shifted
Mm-hmm.
me, it forced me into my
Mm.
identity. Because when we had that last blow up, you know what I was talking about? How God always got me. It forced my values out. I had to
Mm-hmm.
say what my standards were, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to like make it clear. No, God got me. I don't know what you talking about. So it forced it out. So I am grateful for it because ain't no way nobody can ever get between me and my relationship with God ever.
Mm. How long how long has it been since then?
So that happened October 2023.
Oh.
And what God has done in like a year and a half.
Mm.
So I'm like, let's go. I'm like, where we going? How fast you need me to go? Like
You
I'm not
ready.
fighting anything. Like when I tell you I have experienced God's speed and healing because I'm okay with doing the work, looking at myself, did my therapy, repairing my physical. I also had high blood pressure too, sis. I sure did. Changed the diet change. God took away my taste. I don't eat chicken. I rarely eat beef. I'm more plant-based than so I'm closest probably to a pescatarian. If
Mm-hmm.
I what I'm gonna eat, but I don't even have to have meat. I don't. And I heard something this morning. I think it was either in Job or Psalms because I was listening to the Bible and we wrapped up Job and went into Psalms. And there was talk about now, what animal was it? It's bigger than the mammoth. I think it's like the woolly mammoth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these, this is a big old animal who was a vegetarian. They gray. So we think we need meat.
You don't, and you feel better too. You feel lighter.
So if
You
this,
just
and
feel
in
really
the
light,
Bible verse, it just talked about like the build and the muscle or how strong this animal is.
but it
And
just
it's a
eats
plant-based
plant.
diet. And that spoke to me today. I said, all right, God, I got the message. Got the message because he talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
But saying all that to say, it's a journey
It is.
and it takes as long as it takes. There's value in every single thing that you've experienced, Sharon. And thank you again coming here today to share this because somebody needed to hear it because your journey, your healing is giving someone else permission, is giving them validation, is
Mhm.
giving them affirmation to choose themselves. to do the work and they're going to wake up. You and I are here waking souls up. We're waking people up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me too. And
Yeah,
it was just it
I'm
was
not
time it
wrapping you
was
up all the way, but I needed to give you your
oh, I thought you was rapping off I had to say it.
yes, yes, yes. I'm like, and clearly we could go on. And I was just thinking too, it might be really even dope to come back and just have a talk, have you back on to talk about wellness practices and things like that, right? Like, cause
Yes.
there's so many layers to it, and we did
Mhm.
spend a great deal of time of you telling your story, and I know that's a big part of your healing. And
Yes.
I'm grateful to be a part of your healing process, to get that out and what that means
Thank
and how
you.
that just really will unlock some things for you because the shame is out there. Like you put it out there. So what shame? What embarrassment?
Mhm.
What secrets?
They ain't none.
Your health in every area of your life is about to go up, 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 up.
Mhm.
Thank you for answering the call.
Thank you. Thank you for reaching out. And then, yes, I would love to come back and talk some more because there are just a couple things that we brought up that I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is a conversation within itself. I
Girl,
think you
send
might
me a
have
text
mentioned
with a
like
note
entered
so I
like,
can build that in.
yes, mentioned generational trauma. I'm like, oh, I could have a whole conversation about that and the effects on the DNA
Mhm.
and our behavior from different things that our great grandfather, proof that it's in us going back. I want to say it's either 11 or 13 generations.
Mm.
That's a lot.
Mhm.
That's way far back there. And so it's just so many different um a couple of different things that came up
Yeah.
that can
So we'll have you back for
definitely
intergenerational
continue.
trauma and wellness. It sounds like you got 2 more episodes coming in the future.
You just let me know. You just let me know. The health, just on the health end, I just would love to add
Mhm.
more on
Mhm.
specifics. And you just brought up plant-based,
Mhm.
and things of that nature. Some people just don't know where to start to
Absolutely.
really make that change, or in the darkness of the night when you don't know who you are and you don't really even know where to start. You just know that your heart is broken
Mhm.
and life doesn't make sense anymore because who am I in it? That's where my passion
Yep.
is in because I know that moment.
Yeah. That disconnection, same, same, right? Like, so for like when if I put this as simple as possible, oh wow. Ooh, ooh, okay. Catching the download, Lord. Ah, wow, 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 wow. My entire life I've been nothing but a vessel. Like, and I know that.
Mm,
Like, I've always been the person that people will come talk to about their problem, that want
mhm,
my advice. And it just and I'm like, how? Like I was the one in the house, but that's what God do to his people. He be keeping you hidden, he be keeping you set apart. Because my auntie was not having it. She had me in the house, girl. I would be on punishment for the smallest offense. Or even if I thought about doing the thing, she knew like, "Ooh, nope, you gonna punch me for 2 weeks." But but just kinda keeping me bubble wrapped. It
yes,
kept me bubble
yes.
wrapped in so many ways so I didn't lose my light, so that, like, the
Mm,
darkness couldn't, like, really and truly have me because this light is something different, and just being in a space to help bring so I had to go through my own identity crisis and find my way out of it and into reclaiming my own identity as a daughter of the King, the Most High God,
mhm.
to be able to help others and to just walk
Yeah,
the path before them, normalize these things and obedience in that, and to show. Okay, growing up, I used to have a hard time sometimes with like really religious people because I'd be like, but y'all mean, y'all nasty towards folks. Like the experience of them wasn't good. So I was just like, I'm not them, or it needed to look like a mother of the church, right? And I'm like, mm-mm, mm. None of that is me, right? And
I get
just
it.
finding
Yeah.
my own identity, what that looks like in like spiritually. my actions, my behaviors, but even physically, right? Because they'll tell you,
Mhm.
there's somebody probably watching this and they're like, she got way too much makeup on. They ain't none of your business.
Showing.
They ain't none of your business. I mean, but you see God in me. You know what I mean? But just
Mhm.
burden of that where women and then even how people use religion to suppress.
Yes.
Me being a beautiful woman is not a problem, but people will make it your problem. And that you're doing something wrong for other people's lack of self-discipline and self-control. And I don't think God gave you or I our beauty for it to necessarily be hidden, but it's not to be
Right.
exploited.
Right. You're right.
Girl, I
You
just
are right.
another thing, and clearly that needed to be said. I don't know who needs to hear it, but okay, got it.
Somebody needed to hear that how you got your makeup is not their business.
It's not.
But yes, sometimes it is those small things that people try to find judgment wherever they can.
But then
Wherever
that's
they
how
can.
you know that's not God. That is
Yeah.
chaos and confusion, and God is not the author of such things.
Yeah. And that shows way more about them than the person that
Absolutely.
they're even talking about.
Absolutely. And that goes back to just like what we were saying when you didn't defend yourself, right? What people are saying and doing and what they are putting out, even though on the surface it's about sharing. It was about sharing. No, baby, y'all missing it. Y'all hanging out on the surface. You can't even understand the depth of what's happening in the spiritual right now.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to fight in right here. I don't need to because
Hmm.
it's being fought for me spiritually, right? Um, so Sharon, you kind of mentioned this earlier. I know about like in the future and dating. So with all of this lived experience, this expertise that you have,
Hmm.
your real life and your professional life and your academic life, what would dating with discernment look like for you, you think in the future?
What would dating look like for me?
With discernment specifically, dating with discernment. Because we're not gonna abandon any of these lessons learned.
Dating for me, that's a good question. I'm so deep in
Yeah.
loving this singleness. Let me think about this.
Yeah, yeah. Take your
Um,
time, sis.
yeah, I'm so in tuned
Mhm.
at this point. It does not take any time for me to know if someone is not in alignment with me.
Come
It can
on.
be it can just be one conversation or getting around that person when you have gotten into a place. And it's funny to say that because I was just saying how before it's like, I don't know who I am. Now
Mhm.
I deeply know who I am.
Mhm.
So I'm very in tune.
Mhm.
So would I be open to it at some point?
When it's done.
Yes, but definitely an individual that I feel a connection to spiritually. That's a priority for me.
Mhm.
Um, that there is a spiritual connection, but also, like I said, whole.
Yeah.
Not someone that I can tell they have a deficit and they need something. They need this from me. Whether
Mhm.
they somebody they don't got somewhere. A lot of these women be letting men come live with them. They don't have no they start dating that person, they need somewhere to live, they need this, they need that. Dating for me,
Codependence.
you said what?
Codependence.
None of that. So dating for me will be connecting with somebody that is already in their becoming. I won't date and spiritually babysit at the same time.
Girl, you just dropped a bar. We not dating and spiritually babysitting. Girl,
No,
that was the best modern take on not being unequally yoked that I have ever heard. Okay? We not spiritually babysitting and dating. Girl.
no, no. And I will be able to tell, and it's not about perfection.
Mm-mm.
I'm not perfect.
Mhm.
But if I'm dating, if somebody's dating me, I'm somebody that is balanced. I can take care of myself. One of the things that irritate me so much in this society is people that are, especially women do this a lot. To date me, you have to pay my bills. I am a grown woman.
Mhm.
Now, if we married, that's different.
Mhm.
But the dating process for me is being whole and having somebody else that's whole.
Yeah.
And then we can date. And for me, dating also a lot of times I hear people, well, you're single, be open. You can date multiple people at one time. You don't have to, if he hasn't put no ring on it, don't dating for me. I can't process multiple energies on any level.
But also, that's giving lack, right? Like, that
Yeah, I
you have
can't.
to somehow do all this stuff, but also because of your discernment, that heightened spiritual awareness, you're not even just gonna entertain to entertain. You'll know
100%.
immediately. Like, I know mine has gone up where if
Yes.
like I read and I recognize it now as my superpower. Like I will be disconnected from it sometimes. Or now I just feel energy off people immediately. And I'd be like, that's not even somebody I'm gonna look at.
I am telling you, it is so different. And this really, I think this grew even the more that I learned myself, the
Mm.
more that I sat in solitude and was not influenced by
Mm,
any
a
outside
word.
sources. When I took that break from social media, when I
Mhm.
stopped being consumed with TV or anything like that, the quietness, it's like I was dating myself.
You were dating God. You were getting into an intimate relationship with God.
It was very intimate,
Mm,
very intimate. And in the beginning, it felt like darkness for me. It felt like I was in, as some would say, in the womb or in the cave.
think about it.
I
You
was in,
went through a form of withdrawal. If you're used to always being with someone and your biggest fear or a big fear is being alone, it felt like withdrawal. That's why people still be in their phone flirting and just accepting whatever because they are detoxing.
and that you just broke it down perfectly. That's exactly what it is. And
Mhm.
so, that being able to be so connected to yourself that you
Yeah.
can even feel someone's energy, or they can say a couple of sentences. It don't even take much. It
Just
it
have
really
spiritually
doesn't take
aligned.
much to see if there is any type of alignment. And no, it doesn't have to be, oh, well, if they don't do this, they don't do that, you're trying to act like somebody has to be perfect. It's not that. It
But
is
you hear
just,
that? That's coded language for settling that people are trying to put onto you. Again, lack.
you're gonna take it back to lack, because it is the truth. It's the truth. And so for me, it's no rush. And even though I have, like, I have connections, I've
Mhm.
dated,
Mhm.
I've been in a relationship since then. Um, I have a connection if I want to get out or go do something, want to come over, cook dinner, things of that nature. When I want to,
Mhm.
but that's the power of seeing. I can just, um, I like my peace.
That's
And I
right.
know a lot of people think that when people say that, it's like they're saying that you can't have peace in a relationship.
Or you
I'm
can't
not
have peace
saying that.
in singleness.
You said what?
Or that you can't have peace in singleness. The goal is to have it either way. You need it within
Either way.
yourself and within your relationship.
Either way. So I think that another way of saying it is not just, I'm not just in a season where I'm enjoying my peace. I'm in a season where I am just enjoying me,
I
and
love
I don't have to be responsible for another person's feelings, emotions, needs, dinner at night, like having a break from that. And that's just the truth of where I
mhm.
am. But if I'm in a relationship, I love those things. I love to give. I love to serve. I love cooking dinner. I love doing all those little cute things. I enjoy it. But right now, I'm enjoying. And then another part of it is God continued to open doors where my ex-husband had asked for 50-50 for the kids. And
Mm.
in him thinking, I remember when he did it and my kids didn't want to do it at first. They're like, oh, because they love their dad. But they're just used to being with me and him just having them every other weekend. And so I get home and I'm like, God, is this you? Before I start cut, because this can go one way. I can start being like, well, no, we're used to this, da, 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 da. Or you've been putting me on this path of freedom. I'm always the one to do everything. It's not the end of the world. It isn't, moms, we feel like you have to be there the one full time. Even though there are two people that made the children, we automatically put it on us. You have to be there all the time. You're the one that has to do all this. And so I had to ask, like, is this you again? Because every time something end up coming up with this, it ends up being movement for my good.
Mhm.
So before, I try to make it something else. Is this for my good? Let me process this. So doors have opened for me to um for freedom. But it's not just freedom to just be like, oh, she just want to have fun. It's freedom for purpose. I'm experiencing freedom that
Yeah.
is necessary for the journey for my soul. What is
Mm.
necessary for my purpose requires more freedom.
Yes. That liberation
So
is a thing. Mm.
yeah, and I recognize that as I started going into that, becoming like really opening up and learning more and going down the path of trauma informed care
Mhm.
now with experience. Because I also felt in me spiritually, and what I felt or I knew in my heart was that you have the education. You needed the experience for it to become truly authentic
Mhm.
because my background, all that in psychology is like, no, this is spiritual psychology.
Come
There are some
on.
things, yeah, there are some things that you had to experience outside of this book. And then now I'm going to give you the freedom. So now not only are you dating yourself and getting to know yourself, you're no longer in a pain, psychologically abusive relationship, but
Mhm.
also you are an amazing mother and you have wonderful kids. And now you're even more of an amazing mother because you're not tired all the time and you don't feel consumed
Yeah.
that because you are a woman and your mother, you have to be consumed with your children all the time. And
Mhm.
man, baby, you want 50-50?
Cool.
Man, where the papers at?
He was also probably looking for a reaction.
Yeah,
Again, the
no, like,
narcissistic behavior is that it's still gold.
Oh yeah, and all that, and even with that, I know that it was asking from, wanting it from a space of thinking that it would hurt me in some type of way. But the children, I just took time to talk to them over a month or two. We had to go through the process with the family courts, and I still got one of my kiddos that's like, I'm not for it. But he just
Kids don't be
because the thing
playing.
is, because she has 4 kids herself, so my home is quiet. My home is
Yes.
very quiet, very relaxed. They have their own room, their own space, their own so to go from that, and then now it's like a house full of kids. I think the youngest is 1.
Mhm.
So now you got like babies and all this kind of stuff. And so, but they do love it over there.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. They just let it be known, I don't want to like live there. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, honey, it's week here, week here. It's not like you're there all the time. And then not only that, this is more time with your dad. Like I had to
Mhm.
help them to see, just to be flexible and we'll see how it goes. So that's what the judge agreed to was she did a temporary order to see
Okay.
how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how it's going for me?
Great.
Would you like to know how it is
Tell
going
how's
for
it
me?
going, sis?
I get up in the morning,
Look, I already
but
see it. The way you even stroked your hands through your locks. You was just like, I see the ease. Go ahead, sis.
when I tell you, when it has been years
Mhm.
of you doing most of the work, you cannot understand the peace of just quiet in the morning. Now, look, they come back on Sunday and trust and believe. When I hear them little feet, it's going to sound like heaven. Because it is, I will give it that.
Yeah.
Even when it was every other weekend, when it was time for them to go, I was always like, boom, 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 let's go.
Mhm.
And then when I hear that, when I hear my son's key open that door, it's like, oh, I have
Mhm.
that too. So I am enjoying myself now
Mm.
more and I'm enjoying motherhood because I'm not overwhelmed with it. I'm not just a mother anymore. Wasn't just a wife. Now I'm experiencing Sharon the woman.
Yes.
I'm experiencing Sharon at 41. Like this is my week to not have them. I can get up and cook if I want to. I can go read, go write, go do walk. I'm not having to say, oh, let me do this by this time, that time. My mind has time to recover. My mind has time to recover. And so it literally is creating more space for me in this becoming. Like it has all just been this divine setup,
Mhm.
this divine plan. So that's why anything, and I'm just going to say this thing in bringing him up is no matter what has been planned for me or has been done to attempt to bring harm has literally been for me, even down to the recent things. Right after he asked for 50-50, he got married that very next week. Y'all are creating space. I mean, just to be honest. And I appreciate it. It would be different if I felt like it was somebody that, didn't seem safe, or the kids are safe, the kids are happy. And, as a mother, the first thing you're going to look and see if there is an issue of safety. But no, I'm not having to deal with those. I'm not coming this weekend. I'm not doing. I thank God that she brought stability in his life, because it has provided the structure that I need from my household, from their support with him being the father. Meaning, if I got somewhere to go, I need you here I need you to be where you're supposed to be. If I have a trip, I need you to be on time. It is the woman that came in and provided that structure. So I thank God for that. And being willing to do the 50-50. When it's their week, they got a house full of kids.
Yep.
When it's my week, girl, I'm over
They
here
still
in
got a
heaven.
house full of kids.
But me, it's like I can get up and light my incense and my candle, and I can just pray and write and get out. And this is a time of, even though I've gone through so much healing, this is God still, this is healing. This is healing for me.
God is giving you rest.
Yes, that's it. I feel rest. And I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself meeting new people, connection, community.
Yeah. And Sharon, as you were talking, I thought, since I was talking about the video game reference earlier, it's like too being in the video game, you get so many lives and they show them as hearts in a lot of games. And you see it at the top of the screen. What you've been experiencing is each of those hearts filling up, and you're going to get to full. And then you'll be operating in overflow. When most of us are operating out of that 1 or 2 instead of 4, if it's the max of 4 on the game, to get 4 lives or whatever, 3 lives, we're operating on that lower end and still trying to pull people when we need to focus on self.
Yes.
That's what is, I think, also another illustration of thinking about doing your healing and being whole coming into relationship. You yourself not coming in with your deficits and then picking a person who doesn't have their deficits, because then you can only go up from there, because you can't fill your own cup if you're trying to fill somebody else's cup.
Oh, I've had at least, probably more, I don't know, but 2 people that wanted to connect with me. And because one of the first things that stood out to me was they were just loving what I give off. And it's like, well, I'm trying, as soon as he said, well, I'm trying to, I just want that connection with you because I'm trying to find myself. I said, not on my watch.
I could be your
And
mentor.
that's literally what I said.
That's me.
I said, no. I said, I'm going to tell you this. I said, the work that you need to do, it's a journey alone.
You're not going to find it in you.
Yeah, I can't do it for you. And me being an example, I can be an example. I have no problem being cool or something like that, but not in the romantic sense, because you'll take from me.
And also, that's God's work to do, not Sharon's work.
It's not my job. Just like it was no one's job for me. And even though I had loved ones, I had sisters, friends, I had a great tribe in my room, 2:00 in the morning, in the dark, me and God. Nobody could come in that feeling of not wanting to be alone, that death that had to happen, that birth, that pushing out of who I am, that pain, that release. Nobody could have done that for me. And everything had to happen and line up for it to happen. Everything had to be made and done in fullness to get to that space. And nobody can do that for you. So that's one of the things in dating. As soon as it come out of somebody's mouth, because I believe that a man, just a woman, we recognize it too. You can tell when somebody, you can feel their energy. If you know, and sometimes they can see you from a mile away, like, oh, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. But give them a moment to open their mouth. It doesn't take long to know.
You gotta listen. I
You got
understand what
you
the
have to
old folks
listen.
mean when they tell you to listen and
You
stop
can't
hearing
go
what
by looks.
you hear.
You can't go by looks. You can't go by money. Look, I don't care,
Girl,
and
where
I
that
mean, I
scripture at?
you
Where's the
finna look
scripture?
for it. I've
I'm looking
dated.
on this paper. One, Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flow from it. So even if this person is not guarding their hearts, whatever they do is flowing from it. So listen, they gonna tell you. They gonna tell you.
Yeah, you get to a place where, even though there are different aspects that are important to you in the dating process, the first thing you're not looking at is looks, or money, or their
You better
career.
spirit, honey.
Listen, what that soul look like? That's what I
Yep.
want to know. What does that look like? How do what's coming from your heart, your experience? I know different things matter depending on what it is that we may go through. I care,
Mm,
it matters to me if a man grew up with either a good or negative relationship with his mother. A big part of that
mm.
plays a part
And where
depending
is
on
that
how much.
relationship today? Because if he's not resolved that thing, if he's not done his healing, well, baby, it's not showing all the way up in your relationship.
You better forget about it. If he has
Mhm.
not at some point healed his relationship with his mother, you are going to get it as a woman.
Yep. So speaking of scripture, there's some other really good scriptures. When I talked the intimate relationship, there is a scripture, Isaiah 54:5. For your maker is your husband. The Lord Almighty is his name. It's so much goodness in this Bible. It's crazy. Um, and clearly you and I could keep talking and talking, but we gotta wrap this up. But I love how essentially what you just said was that healing, it helps to refine your yoke and that you will attract what you're aligned with.
Yes.
And you know when it's not aligned, and because you have good boundaries now, you're not afraid to speak it and do so lovingly.
Mm-hmm. And
No
you'll
longer
know it.
sacrifice,
Mhm.
no longer being nice to be named nice, but
Yes.
being authentic.
Being authentic, not about being nice. And
Yes.
you will know what you want by becoming what you want.
If you could leave our audience with one powerful truth to help them to rise and thrive, what would it be?
One powerful truth this is a quote I know everybody has heard, but I
Mhm.
understood it on a different level. To know thyself. To know thyself it seems so simple,
Mhm.
but I didn't get it
Mhm.
till I got it.
Mhm.
And it took some real life and recognizing that I didn't know myself. And in each situation, if you are connected to God and God is living within you and through you, and Christ consciousness is living within you and through you, in each situation and in all things, you must know thyself. To know thyself. And if you get to a place where you don't, you can lose yourself, and that can be a long road home. So, radically, if you're not already on the journey, begin to radically work towards knowing thyself, being
Mhm.
obedient to the guidance, and being courageous enough to fulfill your assignment. Be courageous enough and know that it's worth it. It
And
truly is.
ooh, you'll be
There's nothing else. If I didn't make it, we never know our time. But what's the point if you didn't come here and do what you were designed and created to do? What
yep.
else are we doing here? So, and which means if you're created or designed to do it, that means that you're equipped
And you will be supported.
and you will be
And
supported.
failure is not an option.
Mm-mm. So as you go on that journey, to know thyself is very important. And if you can just really um, get to a place of truly understanding in depth what that statement really means.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Well, Sharon, I want to thank you again for coming today and allowing light to be shined in on you so that
Hmm.
the darkness of shame, of embarrassment could all be gone away and you can truly and fully, you
Yeah.
know, operate in that and just giving people keys, permission, gems, however people want to take them, right? And just for being vulnerable and not allowing with fear and shame to stop you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, wow. This episode was so hot your phone overheated. Okay. Audience, if y'all didn't know, okay, like this thing got hot.
It
And
did.
we're gonna shift some of the heat over to y'all. So this is where you all are gonna get your reflection, action, and affirmation. So what relationships or patterns have you outgrown or stayed connected to out of fear, habit, or false hope? And what would choosing you look like today? So after we've reflected, I want you to take action and begin and or continue your healing journey, whether it's through journaling, setting new boundaries, seeking therapy, or walking away from what and or who no longer serves your growth. Just honor that next step and trust that God will meet you once you start moving, right? He will meet you in motion. And then finally, I'm going to affirm you. You're not too late, too broken, or too far gone to be made whole. God can restore the years, renew your identity, and realign your life with divine purpose. You are worthy of love, of peace, and freedom. So I want to thank you all again for joining us for another episode of Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. Episodes drop every Tuesday. You can watch and listen on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. The merch is available. You can just visit the website, www.evolvedrjnicole.com, and click shop the merch. It'll take you there. And make sure you subscribe. Share this with someone who needs permission, for someone who is this close to taking that step towards liberation. And I'll see you next time. But in the meantime, keep rising in faith and thriving in purpose.